I stared at the medical report in my hands. The words made no sense. 0% probability of paternity. But right below it, another line read 25% shared DNA. The doctor looked at me with pure pity. My 4-year-old son was not my son. He was my half-brother. And the only man who could be the father was sitting in my living room right now. My own dad. I am Victor. I am 30 years old. For the last 6 years, I thought I had built the perfect life. My wife, Vanessa, was the ultimate picture of loyalty. She played the role of a traditional loving wife perfectly. When my mother passed away 6 years ago, my father, Robert, was devastated. I did what any good son would do. I moved him into our guest house. A year later, Vanessa got pregnant with Lucas. Everyone in our family praised her for being such a devoted daughter-in-law and mother. I was so blind. I thought I was blessed. I was actually funding my own betrayal. The nightmare started when the child Lucas was diagnosed with acute childhood leukemia. It is an aggressive cancer of the blood. His condition was dropping fast, and the doctor said he desperately needed a bone marrow transplant to survive. Naturally, I volunteered immediately to be the donor. They took my blood and ran the extensive genetic testing. 2 days later, the head doctor pulled me into a private office. He closed the door. He told me I was not a match. But then he handed me the genetic breakdown. I was not the father, but I was a direct blood relative, an uncle or a half-brother. I felt the air leave my lungs. I only have one living blood relative, my father. A weak man would have driven home and screamed. A weak man would have thrown punches and begged for an explanation. But I felt nothing but absolute ice in my veins. I drove home. I kissed Vanessa on the forehead. I asked my dad how his day was. And the next morning when they thought I went to work, I parked 2 blocks away and walked back. I installed hidden audio and video recorders in the guest house and the living room. I only needed 48 hours of footage. What I saw on those tapes destroyed whatever soul I had left. They were not even trying to hide it. They laughed about my work schedule. They laughed about my money, my own father, and my wife. Before I tell you how I burned their world to the ground, I need to ask you something. If the 2 people you trusted most committed the ultimate betrayal, would you forgive them for the sake of the family? Or would you choose absolute war? Drop down to the comments and type "choose war" if you stand with me. Let us see who has real spine. Now for the execution. My father was turning 60 the next week. We hosted a massive family dinner. My aunts, uncles, and cousins were all there. Vanessa was playing the perfect hostess, smiling and serving drinks. My dad was sitting at the head of the table, acting like the patriarch. At the end of the dinner, I stood up and tapped my glass. I told everyone I had a special surprise for my father. I handed out large brown envelopes to every single adult at the table. I told them to open it together. Inside was a copy of the DNA test and a printed transcript of the audio recordings. The silence in that dining room was deafening. My aunt dropped her glass. It shattered on the floor. Vanessa turned completely pale. She started shaking and stammering. My father looked at me with sheer terror in his eyes. He tried to stand up, but his brother pushed him back down into the chair. The screaming started. My family tore into them. Vanessa fell to her knees, crying and grabbing my legs, begging me to listen to her. I just stepped back. I looked at my father and delivered my final words. I sold this house yesterday. The new owners take possession in 48 hours. You both have until tomorrow to pack your garbage and get out. I walked out the front door and never looked back. Today, my father is completely disowned by our entire bloodline. Vanessa works a minimum wage job and lives in a tiny trailer with the child they created. They thought they could play me. Instead, they destroyed their own lives. Gentlemen, listen to me carefully. Never negotiate with betrayal. When the people you trust the most stab you in the back, you do not cry. You hold your frame, you destroy their reality, and you walk away. If you respect how I handled this sickening trap, hit that subscribe button right now. We expose the worst manipulators and celebrate absolute justice every single week. Click the video on your screen for another story of brutal karma. Stay strong, gentlemen.